Okay, this is a video to show you how to feed your baby, brand new 2-week-old baby Stimson pythons. Now there's a lot of information on the internet that says that you're supposed to feed them a pinky mouse, which is a newly born baby mouse. The trouble is that they don't like to eat them, and there's no way you're going to get that inside their mouth. So the experts have worked out that you get a mouse tail, cut it off, leave a chunk of meat on the end of it, and that's useful for pushing their mouth parts apart and putting it down their throat. And then when they get to the meat part at the end, that's when you introduce the pinky mouse and they wind up swallowing. When they're really small, they're only a couple of weeks old, you can just feed them the mouse tail, and as they get bigger, try introducing the pinky mouse behind. I'll show you. These are 3 weeks old. They've grown fairly well. They don't seem to have much in the way of a feeding instinct. How they get on in the wild, I don't know, but it seems that you have to introduce them to food because they haven't got a damn clue. They must have to get extremely hungry before they'll eat anything in the wild, and the rest of them die, I guess. Okay, now the technique for holding them is, I'll just put that down for a sec, is a 3-fingered grab on the head, keep their neck straight and hold the rest of the body with your other 2 fingers. And the technique is, hold still you scallywag, geez, he's a wriggler. Push, put it to their mouth and push up, push down and rotate, get back in there. And it goes down the back of their throat, then rotate backwards and forwards until it goes a little way down, quarter of the way down their throat, and then let it go. Now there's 2 things they can do, either eat it or spit it. If they spit it out, that's fine, we just reintroduce it and go again. This is the 3rd feeding for this snake, so it shouldn't be too difficult to get it to start to work out what eating's all about, but you never know. Try and let them rest. I'm trying to hold it for the camera. Normally I just leave it in my lap because they can quite happily get distressed and wind up spitting the mouse tail out. He's quite active. You know, I think he's going to spit it. But that's okay, just let them do that and we'll reintroduce it in a sec. It gives them time to work out what they're supposed to be doing with it. Some of them seem to catch on okay, some of them are a little bit slow. As long as he's moving forward, that's great. When they start moving back and twisting, there's a bit of a problem. He's still not real sure what he's supposed to be doing. I think he's spat it out. Here we go again. Grab their head, the 3 fingers, keep their neck straight and hold their body. I'll just get a better grip on him. He's a real wriggler. Too healthy, damn it. Okay. In the mouth, push up. Push. Well, here we go. Push up. Push up. Push down. Push. Push up. Push down and rotate. Gee, he's strong. push up, rotate backwards and forwards and push down, and it's almost in his mouth, and rotate backwards and forwards, and then whoop. Oh, you scallywag. Push up, push down. It's very hard even with a mouse tail. There we go. Rotate backwards and forwards, try and keep their neck straight. He hasn't quite got that in his mouth. Hopefully no. Come on, baby. Push up, push down, push up, push up, push down. Ooh, you are difficult. Push down, rotate. Now we're going to... Oh, Jesus, slippery, this mouse tail. Push up, push down, rotate. Slip it through the back of the throat, rotating backwards and forwards. Oh, you mustn't have his throat straight. There we go. Just take your time. Don't lose patience with them. They're not really keen on eating this way. In fact, they're not real keen on eating it full stop. Push up, push down, and rotate through the back of the throat. There you go. Okay, now that's fair enough. We'll just let it go. Hopefully we'll keep the mouse tail straight this time. Try not to move them too much. I'm trying to move it so you can see what's going on. Normally you just put it down in your lap, just make sure it didn't go too far. The idea is to keep the mouse tail straight as you can and have something for it to push against, really. Try not to interfere with it too much. Otherwise they will spit it out again, as he's trying to do now, I think. He's not too happy about eating. Don't hurry them, just let them take their time. When they get down towards the end, that's when you introduce the pinky mouse. It's very frisky, nice and warm. We keep them about 36 degrees Celsius with a under sand heat mat, a large under sand heat mat, so that they can, but the container itself, one side's warm, the other side's cold, so half on the heat mat, half off, and that way they can move off the heat mat if they like. The babies seem to like a hotter temperature, 36, 37 degrees. I just bought a box, a snake box off someone who had their Stimson's python pass away. From what I could work out, it died from lack of warmth. He had nothing but a little heat rock. It survived for quite a few years and then just turned up its toes in the cold, which is rather sad. So you have to make sure that you get the temperature right. Have a temperature sensor that shows you what temperature it is just under the sand surface. Now if he sits still, I'll be able to introduce this pinky and he won't notice any difference between what he's eating and going on to. If I don't spook him, like the last one, he got a bit spooked and didn't want to have anything to do with it. Whoop, don't move, don't move. It's a bit of hit and miss, this. Come on, open your mouth nice and wide, chomp down. This is the only way you'll get them to eat a pinky. You can't shove it in their mouth because it's squashy. That's it. Go baby, go. Now straight from the tail, straight into the head. And he didn't even notice. I won't interfere now. Just let it go. Make sure you wash your hands with alcohol before you touch your snake. They do carry salmonella. You want to keep them away from your food preparation and eating areas. When you change their water, take it outside and wash and rinse it outside, not in the sink. You want to change the any droppings every couple of days. Make sure the droppings are out and everything's nice and clean. What other things? I've got a list over there. Can you pass me that list on that file, Sandra? Okay. And the first thing you do when you get your baby snakes is, as I did, you think, well, if I handle them every day, they'll get used to being handled and that'll be great. Well, with baby snakes, that's not really the case. Although there's two schools of thought. Personally, I think it's a good idea for the first few days to handle them every day, maybe for the first 4 or 5 days. But if you continue handling them, I'm told that they can go off their food. Not that they're eating in the first couple of weeks anyway. So what we've done is we've handled them every day and they seem to be quite used to being handled. And now we've fed them 3 times and we've stopped handling them, except when we have to feed them. That way they know what people are and what handling's all about. And hopefully they'll still be nice snakes to handle later on. I think you'll find that even if you don't handle them, they get used to you quite quickly later on. Let's see. After they're born, they seem to survive well on the egg yolk for the first couple of weeks. After the first shed, they shed usually after 7 days, and they're not usually hungry when they are shedding. So a couple of weeks after that, they should be starting to get hungry. I don't know how, like I said before, I've spoken to some professionals and they also think that they don't have much of an instinct for eating. They must have to get extremely hungry before they start attacking things in the wild. And introducing the mouse tail seems to be the easiest way to get them onto eating larger food like the pinky mice. There's no way in the world you'll get that snake to open its mouth and swallow that large head any other way than first introducing it to the mouse tail. It's a really neat trick. I don't know anyone who's put it on the internet before. Maybe it's a trick that people like to keep to themselves, but I thought I'd put it on there so there are more people get their hatchlings to survive. One professional I went to recently said that they had a lady who came to them after they'd had 33 different batches of baby hatchlings died because she couldn't get them to eat. So that was 30 snakes died because she couldn't get them to eat properly. It's a little bit late to start asking for help after you've lost all your hatchlings. Make sure they have water. Make sure the water isn't in the heated area. Make sure that it's in the cooler area. And the easiest way of doing it is put your container inside the box and then fill it up with something like a narrow-necked sauce type bottle, a squeezy bottle. And that way you don't wind up spilling it on the tiles and the carpet and spilling it trying to get into the cage. And keep an eye on it, especially you'll notice in the back cage there I've got a Petri dish. I fill that up, and every couple of days that dries out because the temperature in the box is quite warm, 35, 37 degrees. I don't use a thermostat other than to check the temperature. I actually have a variac, which is a variable transformer, and I control the heat with the by varying the voltage from 240 down to about 120, and that seems to be quite stable. It doesn't need to turn itself off and on. I just check it every day just to make sure that it's not too hot and not too cold. It only varies 1 or 2 degrees, so there's no issues there. I think probably automatic is better, but I think you should be checking just to make sure that the temperature probe hasn't come out of the dirt and you might wind up with the heat mat getting too hot, staying on too long. So you've got to make sure the temperature probe's well seated. He's taking a little time there. I'm not going to hurry him. You might be concerned that they're too large for their little tiny bodies, but the snake can eat something 3 times larger than its head, which is quite fantastic. Sorry, I'm a bit shaky. Eventually I'll start introducing the pinkies to the snake with a pair of tweezers, and hopefully I won't need to use the mouse tail very often, or hopefully at all. After a little while I'll get so used to it that you won't have to open their mouths and introduce it for them. What else? How long do you leave them before you start the idea of introducing food for them? I'd say two weeks, not much longer than 2 weeks, if they're not eating anything that you set down for them. It's not a terribly rough process. It's just getting something into their mouth so that their instinct for eating and swallowing kicks in. If they don't follow on, if they twist like he almost did and got away from me, you just have to wait till next time and introduce a pinky again at the end of the mouse tail. Wow, finished. Bet you he'll feel better after that. See the muscle contractions, he'll force that all the way down to his stomach, which is kind of about halfway down his body. Make sure you're, what else have we got? Make sure you change the paper or sand or whatever you have reasonably regularly. Temperature is very important. I've got these babies in the one container. There's 5 of them. People seem to separate them individually because they believe that they can get stressed if there's too many in the one container. I kind of agree with that. I'm going to get another couple of containers and maybe just have 2 in one container. They're not friendly little creatures. They don't really enjoy being cuddled and handled. They get stressed. They're good as ornaments for sitting on a branch in an enclosure, but generally they don't like being handled too much. But they're kids' pythons and kids like handling them, so that's fine by me. Wow, that is one heck of a big meal. So I've allowed him to get it down. I won't move him for a little while in case he regurgitates, which would not be good. So I'll put him in a different container now. I won't put him back in the box that you see behind. I'll keep on feeding the rest of them now, and I'll put them all back in at the same time. That way I can make sure which ones have eaten and which ones haven't. If you're going to put your container in the car and move them around, make sure you take out any large objects like the plastic cave and the drinking container, because they're quite heavy and they can fly around in a car with bumps and movements in the car and squash your little snakes. So don't transport them with anything in the containers. He should be right to be sold at the age of 3 months once he's eating properly. Okay, I'll put him back in the box.